Hello Year 4, today is Friday the 5th of March and today's learning question is can I continue to develop my understanding of shape, symmetry and movement? And you are going to be looking at page 34 today and you do only have two questions but they are slightly, the work that you're going to be doing is going to involve a little bit of learning today as well. So you'll be taking your time to learn what it is that you need in order to understand how to answer these questions, okay? So please take your time and replay this video if you feel like you need some extra help or you're not quite sure about some of the questions or how to answer them, okay? So if you do revisit it, then that will help you and it will make it a little bit easier for you to understand, okay? So just before we start, I wanted to see how much we already knew about coordinates. So for your warm up today, I've got a graph here, and you've got your y-axis, which is this one, and you've got your x-axis, which is this one. And the red dot is where the coordinate has been plotted, okay? Now you've got Rosie and Teddy who are having a conversation, and Teddy says the point is plotted at 7, 3. So Teddy's told us there that the coordinate is 7, 3. But Rosie has said the point is plotted at 3, 7. So who is correct? And what mistake has one of the children made? So you have only covered coordinates very briefly before Christmas, and it was one lesson where we were trying to do a fun activity where I think some of you got to do a Christmas tree or a Santa Claus, I think it was, on a coordinate sheet. So this is just to see what you already know about coordinates. So you need to have a look at this chart and see where this has been plotted on the chart and who is correct. So is it Teddy or is it Rosie? Who is it that has made the mistake? So they've used the same numbers, they've just put them a different way. So whose way is correct? Okay. So question 1 is asking you to mark the points on the grid with a cross. So you're going to be given some different points. So these are your coordinates, okay? And you've got to plot them on the graph, okay? And that's going to show you the vertices of a shape. So when you've done it, it'll show you a shape. So you will have created a drawing of a shape, okay? And your vertices are the sides, they are the edges of the shape, okay? So you need to plot them on the grid. So this is your grid here. You need to plot them on the grid and then you need to name the shape, okay? So a point has two numbers and the point gets plotted on our graph. And this is called a coordinate. So the numbers, and then when you plot your point, that's called a coordinate. And the coordinate must be in the correct order and they will always be written in brackets. And you need to make sure that you plot them and write them down the correct way around. So if you did have a go of that warm up, you might have realised that one of them did write the coordinates down incorrectly, and you will see why it's important that you write them down correctly, okay? So there are 3 key tips to remembering how to plot and write a coordinate down correctly. So the coordinates are always in alphabetical order. So you always write the coordinate that goes on the x-axis. So the one that is on the bottom, if it'll let me draw. So that is your x-axis. And the one that is on the top is your y-axis. So your y-axis is this one, your x-axis is this one. So your x-axis always gets written down first and then it's your y-axis, okay? So it says here, x is always the flat axis going across the page. So it's always the one that is going flat across the page. Your y-axis is the one that looks like it's reaching up tall, okay? You always go into the house. So when you plot your coordinates, you go into the house on your x-axis first, and then you have to go up or down on your y-axis So you go in the house, so along the corridor in your house and up or down the stairs, okay? So you go along the bottom and then you go up or down. So when you write your coordinate, you will write the coordinate that allows you to go into the house, which is along the bottom, and then you write the coordinate that goes up onto the top. So if you've got 1,4, you'll go along into the house, up number 1, and then you count up until you reach number 4, and that would be the first point there where I'm pointing to where you plot your first coordinate, okay? So always remember along the corridor or into the house and up the stairs. Now, if your y-axis goes up and down because you've got positive and negative numbers, you can go down as well, but you must always go into the house before you go up and down the stairs, okay? So all you are doing for this one is you're going to read the different coordinates that you've been given, and then you're going to mark them onto your graph. It's going to create a shape, and then you're going to write the name of the shape down. 1C, it is slightly different, okay? So I've just got an example of a graph here where we would use coordinates. So I might have 7, 9, okay? So that's my coordinate, and I would go into the house 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and all the way up to the number 9, and that's where I would plot my coordinate for that one, okay? So remember, along and then up. So along and then up. So for 1C, it's asking you, so it's saying 3 of the vertices of a square are 1, 1, 1, 5, and 5, 5. What are the coordinates of the 4 vertices? So remember, vertices and vertex mean a point on a shape. So if I were to do a square, these would be my points in red, okay? So they would be my vertex. That would be my vertex there, those 4 points, okay? And it's your job. Now, I suggest you use some square paper if you've got it. If you don't have it, I suggest that you draw a graph out that goes up to the number 5 or number 6. So similar to this one, I draw one like this to help you with 1C so you can figure out where the final coordinate would go for that last point, so you know where the 4th vertex is, okay? And all you're doing is you're writing down the coordinate, okay? So you'd write down and it'd look something like that, okay? So that's what you're doing for 1C. And then you're going to move on to part 2. And it just says complete each of these sentences, choose the endings given. So you've got 4 sentences there, A, B, C, and D. And then you've got all of your sentences underneath that you need to fill in to complete it, okay? So I'm very quickly going to go through the different things. So this piece of equipment is called a set square, okay? And it's used because there's a right angle there. So builders would use set squares when they build a wall, and they would see that the wall is square and it's not like wonky in any way, okay? So you use your set square with your right angle to check that the lines are straight when you build something, okay? So the next thing that I've got here is a protractor. Now it's a semicircle. It only goes up to 180 degrees, but it does have, oh dear, it does have 90 degrees here, okay? So this point here, that point there, that's 90 degrees. So remember, that would be 90 degrees. And this protractor helps us to measure different angles. So you would use the protractor to measure the angles here, okay? So that's what you use to figure out how to measure an angle. Now, you will get used to using protractors when you come back into school and you move through the year groups, okay? Now, they are a little bit tricky to use to start with, but it does get easier, okay? And the last two are looking at an acute and an obtuse angle. So remember, an acute angle is smaller than 90 degrees and an obtuse angle is greater than 90 degrees. Okay, so have a think which sentences go with which statements, and that's all you're doing for today. So your challenge for today is to draw two more sides onto this to make three separate triangles. So you're going to use the same line, but you're going to do it 3 times. So your first one, you're going to draw an equilateral triangle. Now we all know that equilateral triangles all have the same measure for the sides, okay, and they all have the same angles. They're all equal. You're going to have a scalene triangle where none of the sides are the same, and then you're going to have an isosceles triangle where two sides measure the same, okay? And just a quick reflection at the end, which one was the hardest triangle to draw? And reflecting on today's lesson is one thing I need to remember from today's lesson is it how to write your coordinates down correctly? Is it how to plot your coordinates correctly? Is it that you need to take your time to read the coordinates to make sure that they are correct on your grid? Okay, so have a think on that reflection. Bless me. So have a think on today's reflection, and please send in any home learning for today, your final day. Woo! Your final day of home learning before you come into school. Please send it in. You can all have a little party this evening, can't you? Because you've done your home learning. You've done a great job. So please send in all the photos that you've done of your home learning for today and enjoy your weekend before you come back into school. And I am so excited to see you all on Monday. I cannot wait. So I will see you all back in school on Monday. Bye, guys.